Hello, Lionel Richie. I've sort of always been a fan of Lionel Richie's music, from when he was in the Commodores, his famous songs right through his solo career. And listening to them now, especially those from the 70s and 80s, yeah, a bit cheesy maybe a bit worrisome as well. Hello and the associated video. It's a little bit stalkerish, and that got me thinking a bit about stalkers and how it all works. Because a stalker's not a good thing for the person who's being stalked. But for whatever reason, the stalker has it in their mind that, they should behave in a certain way. We'll come back to that in a moment. Lionel Richie, anyway. Yeah, he's an interesting guy. From a relatively poor background. All the cars he's owned, well, he's never sold. He's even got the one from the beginning, before he was famous, his cheap Japanese car he's still got, that he got in America. And I suppose the famous story that he tells around cars is when he sort of just hit the big time with the Commodores. I think there's 5 of them in the Commodores. There could be more. I'm not going to check. I'm not going to Google it. I don't Google. But basically, he picked this car he wanted. Let's call it a Lincoln. I don't know if that's a good car. It sounds American. And he said it to the guys in the van and said, yeah, let's all have one. So he said he'd go and buy them all one. So he went to a car dealership. And the guy, the salesman, he thought, there's no way this guy can afford this amount of cars. And I think after a while, she says to the guy, well, listen, ring this guy up. He's the bank manager. Say it's Bank of America. It could have been any bank, but say it's Bank of America. And your man does. He rings up and he says, I've got a Lionel Richie in front of me. Just want to see if he has sufficient funds to purchase. He's looking for whatever, 5 Lincolns. Anyway, there's a pause as he's listening to the manager on the other side of the phone, who's obviously telling him that he well has the means to pay for that. And at which point the salesman's eyes light up. And he said, Mr. Richie, what cars and accessories would you like? So I like Lionel Richie anyway, and that sort of story I think is great. I hope one day to have enough money to do things like that. And I don't mean that in a bad way, because I don't want 5 cars. But I mean in the way of, people not realising that what you're worth, how much money you have. Not that you've inherited, but you've worked for it, And there is more to you than maybe what they realise. I like that element of, people might look at me and go, oh, this guy, But I'd like to think I'm more than what you see, And it's easy to judge people. I'm sure I do it a little bit. I don't do it with malice, I don't think. I'm not that sort of person. Life's too short. But I'd like people to look at me and maybe at some point realise that I'm more than what I look like. Yeah, I like that, I think, So yeah, Lionel Richie, string of hits. I think he's been divorced. I don't want to pry into his private life, it's his own bag, and all that. I think he had to pay out a big settlement and maintenance. And what a guy, he didn't mind, he had no qualms doing that, coming to an agreement and all the rest of it, and I like that. And having seen him on a few programs, talking and everything else, I like him, But going back to, hello, is it me you're looking for? There's that element of, the guy's trying, he's obviously got something for the girl. I'm not worried about the age difference thing. That can be dwelled on too much. We shouldn't dwell on the fact that he's the teacher and she's the student either. I know there's a conflict of interest when it's a person in a position of power, but they're adults. Let's not, let's clear that up here and now. They're both adults, so it might be inappropriate in the sense of he's in a position of power, in which case he'd probably have to do some sort of agreement that he wouldn't teach her anymore and that they wouldn't see each other in the college, to make it more appropriate. I think, these little problems they're not insurmountable, but there's concerns. And I do believe he rings her up on the phone and things like that, and makes a few assumptions, like, is it me you're looking for? Are you somewhere feeling lonely, you know? Or is someone loving you? Which is sort of nice thing to say, I suppose. Doesn't wait for an answer, of course. So yeah, I have a few problems because there's elements to me maybe leave it a bit too hanging and could be on borderline a stalker. I don't want to take the romance out of that sort of dynamic because it's nice. I like people who try. I like men, boys, women, whatever, who try. They're trying, you know. They really like something and they want to show it and they want to whatever. And I like that. And I'd hate to think that that's going to disappear from society based on political correctness and the odd lunatic ruin it for the rest of us, you know. So, yeah, I think it'd be interesting to see what the video would look like today. Maybe a few points would be clarified that the relationship doesn't break any rules or laws in the country that it was filmed in.